Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I will be reviewing Love is Blind Italy, episode number 3. Okay, so the last episode ended where Alessandro and Eliza were getting ready for their reveal. This episode opens up with showing Alessandro and Eliza's reveal. When the doors open, Alessandro literally runs to Eliza. I was like, oh my God, is he about to tackle this girl? Like the excitement on his face when he saw her. This is how I want my man to run to me, guys. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, he was so happy. I don't even know if Eliza could even fully see him because he just put his arms around her and hugged her. There's no shadow of a doubt in my mind that he was happy with what he saw. I think Eliza was also happy with what she saw. He runs towards her, he picks her up. He's twirling her around. He's really excited. And yeah, he was holding on to her for dear life, guys. I was like, oh my God. Like, they kissed and, it looked like he wanted to eat her face. I was like, what is happening? It was crazy. But you could just tell that he was really excited. And I'm like, this is a good sign, right? Eliza also seemed happy with what he looked like. Before Eliza could even breathe, Alessandro has already gotten down on one knee and he's proposed, guys, and put that ring on her finger. He's like, you're not going anywhere. Like he was over the moon. This was by far the best reveal I've seen, I think, this season so far. I was like, okay, like this guy's really excited. And yeah, he said that she was sexy and that she smells good. And then we see him basically pick her up again and carry her towards like her reveal doors and puts her there, and then runs back. And to be honest, he was so excited that I actually couldn't quite tell what Eliza felt about him. Like, I feel like she couldn't even like fully take in the experience because he was just all over her. It was crazy. But I do think she was happy with what she saw. I don't think she was unhappy. But yeah, that's still, verdict is still kind of out. Okay, so then we go back to Ludovica and Davide. Ludovica says that Davide scares her. And we see that he sprayed his cologne on something in her pod. He says that she basically tells him, right, even, after all this, that he made her pretty angry in their last conversation. And, she was angry about the fact that he didn't really want to go deeper with her. And that even when she brought it up, he still wasn't really trying to go deeper, right? And Davide admits that he behaves like a superficial prick. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised he said that. Like, at least he knows, right? And she asked him if she's not hot, will he walk away? Like when he sees her. And guys, the irony in that situation, like the irony in that whole comment is Ludovica might walk away from Davide when she sees him because he's not hot. And this is what's so weird about this Ludovica Davide thing, because as much as Davide is being kind of superficial and asking these questions, Davide himself is not necessarily a looker. And this is like, that's what I find so odd, like Ludovica's sitting here worried that he's not gonna like her. And I'm sitting here worried she ain't gonna like him. Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, something about this is just like, bizarre, and I just personally, I don't really like Davide. I think that, yeah, I'm not a fan of him, and I don't really know what Ludovica likes about him. So yeah, I don't get it. We go back to the women's lounge and we see Ludovica saying that she is competing, against Karen, who is like stunning, and she called her like Miss World and like stunning, and she's competing with Karen for her future husband. I found this to be very strange because at the end of the day, the guys that she's talking to cannot see Karen, right? Like, they can't see Karen. So I'm like, there's no way that her looks have anything to do with the fact that they're both competing for the same man. This is called Love is Blind for a reason, right? And I find it weird that Ludovica is trying to make it sound like she's also competing when it comes to attractiveness, because that's not on the table. Right now, it's about the connection that you're building through the pods. And I think this is just another way of showing Ludovica's insecurity, because I almost get the sense that she's really worried that if she does choose one of these guys, that when they do the reveal, they maybe won't be happy with what they see. I think she's deeply insecure, because I was like, I don't know what that's about, And Ludovica herself is very attractive. Like I'm just like, what is up? It's very strange. So then we go back to Nicola and Ludovica. They talk about what if they've pictured what each other looks like. And basically they both say that they haven't pictured that. And you know, you can just tell that they're just enjoying the connection that they have. Nicola basically says that he started off feeling one way and now he feels differently. So this is the first time where he's also opening up now to Ludovica about the fact that, you know, I think Ludovica can kind of put two and two that like clearly he has another connection and he's still kind of torn. Like he's not quite sure how he feels, but it seems like he started off strong with Karen and now he's leaning more towards Ludovica. Okay, we see Nicola and he is now speaking to Karen. Karen explains that she didn't like what he said the last time they talked, which is fair, you know, talking about how it was an infatuation and it could fizzle out. Karen wasn't happy with that at all. Nicola says the fear of being happy holds him back. And I'm like, okay, like, oh Lord. But I know that that's a real thing, that some people like self-sabotage, right? When they think it's too good or they think they found something good. So I know this is like a real thing, but still I'm like, are you going to reassure this girl at all? Like, come on. So he says that when he's happy with someone, he tends to self-sabotage. He says that he was in a relationship in the past. They were living together and, you know, the girl like left him. So he says that basically in this past relationship, he had like the rug pulled out from under him. And that's part of what creates this fear that he now has. He basically says to Karen that he's talked to her about things that he hasn't talked to the other women about at all. So he's kind of opened up to her in ways that he hasn't opened up to other people. And he says that in a relationship, he has always taken care of the other person. And it sounds like he's looking for someone that's going to also be able to take care of him. Like he doesn't want to always have to play that role. Karen reassures him that she thinks she's the right person for him. You know, like she's kind of giving that level of reassurance. And Karen basically says that she's scared to open up because of what he said to her last time. And I don't blame Karen at all because what he said was like really, really terrible, right? So she's kind of like trying to protect herself because she's like, I don't want to get vulnerable again. And he just, you know, leaves me or something. Okay, so then we go back to Parmi and Georgiana. Parmi says some really nice words about Georgiana. And Georgiana is basically explaining how she feels to him. He gets down on one knee and he proposes and Georgiana says yes. So we have another engagement there. We shall see how this happens, like how this goes, because I am still under the impression that Parmi is a lot more into Georgiana, but maybe after the reveal and everything, we'll see how they interact once they're in person. So then we go back to Alessandro B and Yoni. Alessandro brings up if they have kids, if they will grow up in Italy, and if they will also be taking trips to Asia. Yoni opens up about how she is afraid that she doesn't have that much time left with her parents. She, you know, she's from South Korea. Her parents are in South Korea, but she lives in Italy. And she gets very emotional because she is aware that they're also getting older. She doesn't get to see them all the time because she lives in another country. And it seems like she would like the idea of, you know, if they have children, the children being able to also go to South Korea to hang out with like, you know, her parents. So she gets very emotional talking about this. And Alessandro also gets very emotional, I think, hearing how much she, you know, how much this is like affecting her. So yeah, they're both like crying and like talking about this. And Yoni says that she's not that close to her dad and that her dad, I think, was a part of the military. So he kind of raised her very, very strict. And she basically says that she would refer to her dad as sir. Whew, guys, that's another level of strict. I was like, sir, oh my God. So you can only imagine what that was like, you know? And she basically says that growing up, he was very, very hard on her. And so she's a lot closer to her mom, it seems, basically. Yeah, Alessandro gets really sad hearing about this because he can hear how much that's like affected Yoni growing up. And he says that he felt her pain and that he really wanted to just hug her in that moment. So we can see that their connection is getting stronger and they are kind of opening up to each other more. Okay, so then we go back to the men's lounge and we see Davide and another guy talking about which women they think are hot. Once again, I'm confused. I'm confused because I want to know why Davide is now in another conversation, right? Where he's talking about women's attractiveness when the man is not attractive. Let me not be mean, guys, but I'm just like, I'm so confused. Like, why are you talking about that? So that's what they're talking about, okay? And then basically one of the guys that he's talking to asks what Davide thinks about Ludovica's attractiveness, like if she's hot or whatever. And he basically says that she's brunette with curly hair. Guys, the way he said it, I don't know why, but it was giving, he didn't think she was gonna be hot. I don't know why, but I just get that, like, something about Davide just rubs me the wrong way. And I don't really know why he's so caught up in the way people look when the guy is not a looker himself. He needs to be occupied with other things, like building an emotional connection. I don't know what's going on there. So then we go and see Davide and Ludovica are talking in the pods, and Davide wrote Ludovica a letter. And he basically says he's ready to go the distance with her and take care of her. And this is like the first time that Davide has really gotten serious and actually opened up. And Ludovica is like speechless. And she's like, wow, I'm never speechless, but I'm speechless now. Because this is essentially what she wanted from Davide, right? To see that deeper side of him. She says, though, that she's still unsure about him, right? Even after all that. Okay, so then we go back to the men's quarters. And Nicola is upset because he's realizing that Ludovica has strong feelings for Davide as well. So this is the first time he's realizing this, right? And okay, we then see Nicola and Ludovica in the pods talking. And Ludovica got Nicola a gift basket of ornaments so that he could decorate the tree that he had in the pods. And Nicola was like, wow, this is so cute. He seemed like he was surprised that she even did that for him. And then we see Ludovica tell Nicola that she's scared of what Nicola will think about her once he sees her, like during the reveal, like if he will be happy with what she looks like. Once again, Ludovica's insecurity is creeping in. And Nicola is like really not happy to hear this, right? She insinuates that he could hurt her. We see Ludovica basically saying that with Nicola, she feels a sense of insecurity, which is very, very obvious. She's, for some reason, petrified that he will not like what he sees. And I think this comes from the fact that Nicola played professional soccer. So in her mind, she's like, wow, he's probably been with all these women that are like really attractive. And Ludovica maybe doesn't put herself in that caliber. Now, I don't think Ludovica is crazy for feeling this way, right? I understand where she's coming from because I think that there is this stigma, right, that professional athletes get with women that are like, you know, top tier, right? And Ludovica's like, well, if I'm not that, is he going to be disappointed, right? I get that. But the thing about it is Nicola hasn't played soccer in years. He said that, right? That he's not in that life anymore and that he wants to settle down now. And a lot of times when men want to settle down, they're not looking for that IG baddie that they were chasing back in the day. You know, they're more practical. They want things like they look for other attributes, right? And yeah, so I think that Ludovica's really getting in her head and like blocking her own blessing in a way. I don't know. So we see that she then goes back into the pods and tells Nicola on the outside she thinks they would be with different people, right? Ludovica says they belong to two different worlds, and she says she just doesn't trust him. And Nicola is like really, really angry. He like slams the things over in the pods. We see him like say he's done and that he wants to leave. He's so mad. You know, he's walking towards the cameras. Like it was crazy. He was really, really angry. And I could tell he was angry because based on the conversation with Ludovica, he thought that he was kind of going to lose her, right? And he didn't like that. But his reaction was, I gotta be honest, a little bit scary. I was like, why is he so mad? You know, like I'm so confused. So that really threw me off and kind of made me not like Nicola because I was like, you got to control that anger. You know, he got a little bit violent and angry and it was a little scary. And I didn't really think it was necessary because Ludovica is simply just insecure. She's simply insecure, right? And I think he's angry because he feels like her insecurity is what's stopping this connection, right? But and I understand that that can be frustrating, right? Because there's not much he can do about it, because this is about the way she sees herself, right? There's no words of affirmation Nicola can give her to have her take this fear away of, her not being enough when he sees her physically. But the reaction to me was crazy, right? And it made me realize that he must really like Ludovica, because I was like, damn, like I didn't expect him to react that way. It surprised me. We see Ludovica basically saying to the women in the women's lounges that she thinks that Nicola is used to dating women that just simply don't look like her, which is what I presumed, right? She's making a judgment on him already, anticipating that she won't be his type, based off the fact that he was a professional soccer player in the past. Okay, then we go back to Parmi and Georgiana, and they have their reveal. I couldn't tell at first if Parmi was happy. I was like, wait, what's happening here? And then, eventually they like hugged and like things went well. We see them telling the cameras that they both find each other attractive. Georgiana seems very happy with what Parmi looks like. They end up kissing. So yeah, I think that this reveal went well. We shall see. And yeah, Georgiana didn't mention anything about her parents not, opening up to him anymore. Maybe she's not worried about that anymore after she saw him. I don't know. But she seems taken by how handsome he is. And he also seems happy with what she looks like. So yeah, so far the reveals have gone well for about every couple that's gone by so far. We then see Alessandro B, and he's preparing to propose to Yoni. And we see that he goes in there, he gets on one knee, he proposes, and Yoni says yes. So I'm excited about this couple. I will say I'm very, very excited. So we go back to the men's quarters, and we see Nicola telling the guys that Ludovica thinks he's this super hot guy, and that when they meet, it will just all fall apart because she doesn't feel like, she's gonna match that or whatever. We see Davide like listening in on the conversation, guys, and I'm not gonna lie, Davide looks stressed. He looks stressed, and I know why he was stressed. Davide is stressed because he himself is not attractive. He's not that attractive. So he's probably thinking, damn, what's Ludovica gonna think when she sees me? Very, very interesting, right? But he looked a little bit stressed. Like he for some reason did not look very happy. And I don't know why, but I found that to be kind of funny. Okay, Davide then goes on to say that he's a bit upset after hearing how strong of a connection Nicola had with Ludovica, right? And what happened between them. He's not happy about it, right? Yeah. Okay, then we go back to Alessandro B and Yoni, and they have their reveal. And yeah, they both seemed over the moon, guys. I was like, and I don't know why, I knew that these two would be happy, so I wasn't really nervous anyway. But yeah, he like picked her up and like swung her around. They seemed really, really happy. I need to know Yoni's workout routine, okay? Because I'm like, that body is tight, okay? And her dress looked amazing on her as well. When the doors opened, I was like, damn. And when they kissed, I was like, this kiss was like, I don't know why, but it just seemed like they had already met before. Like it wasn't awkward. It was very sensual. I was like, I felt wrong just watching the kiss. Like it was crazy, but you could just feel the chemistry through the screen between these two. Yeah, I was like, okay, these people are happy. He picks her up and like twirls her and brings her back to the reveal doors. Like, he ends up proposing as well and getting down on one knee, putting the ring on her finger. So this went really, really, really well. I'm really excited to see where this can go. She's sitting on his lap, and he just picks her up and puts her back into the reveal, back into where they have the reveal doors. This might be the best reveal I've seen so far, guys. Like, they were turning me on. I said, okay, let's calm down now. Okay, so then we go back to Davide and Ludovica. Ludovica says he was basically the most unexpected person she found in the pods. She says that she was scared, right, about their connection. And all I have to say is, as much as I don't like Davide, I do think that Ludovica would actually be a better match for Davide for some reason. I do, like on the real world. I don't know if Nicola and Ludovica would have matched as much. I don't know. I feel like Davide and Ludovica have a comfortability and like similar humor and energy. There's something that I think would work better. So Davide basically says he wants to start a family with her and he proposes to her. And Ludovica says yes. And basically, Davide also mentions that Ludovica was able to have him feel something again and that he hasn't had like felt that in a long, long time. So I don't know. We'll see about this couple. Like, I am excited, but then I also have my reservations based on some of the behaviors I saw from both Davide and Ludovica in the pods. Ludovica seems really insecure, and insecure people in relationships can be very problematic. And then Davide also seems like he might be insecure, and I don't really understand his obsession with talking about superficial things with the way that he's looking. I don't get that. So we shall see. Okay. So Davide and Ludovica get ready for their reveal. And we see that, you know, they have the reveal, the doors open, and I couldn't quite tell in the beginning how they felt. I was like, I don't know about this. Basically, we see Ludovica say that Davide was not her usual type. Not surprising, but that she's still happy, right? She still seems happy with him. Davide seemed happy with what Ludovica looked like, from what I could tell. Yeah, that reveal was like, I feel like Davide seemed happy with Ludovica more than Ludovica seemed happy with Davide. And that's honestly what I expected, so I wasn't surprised. We go back to the women's lounge, and Karen is basically telling one of the women that she doesn't really trust Nicola after what he said to her in the beginning about how their, you know, connection could just be an infatuation. And I don't blame her. I wouldn't trust Nicola either if I was Karen. And if I was Karen at this point, I would consider just leaving the experiment because I think it would have just rubbed me the wrong way. The comment about it being an infatuation and that it'll fizzle out. I don't know if Nicola could have ever, what is the word, like recovered from that comment in my mind. I don't know if there's anything he could have said to reassure me after saying that. So I understand how Karen feels. Then we see Nicola and Karen. Basically, we see that Nicola put a jacket in her pods, and it was the jacket that he wore on their first date. So Karen is like looking at this jacket, and, you know, he tells her that he has not been free and happy, and that he feels that he is free and happy when he's with her. Interesting. How can you say that after saying that it was an infatuation and it could fizzle out? But okay. Nicola says he hasn't been with someone that truly wanted him before. He then proposes, and the episode ends, so we don't really know if Karen said yes or not. Guys, I don't know why, but I hope Karen says no. Okay, because I don't know about Nicola. Like, even him saying, "Oh, I'm so glad that like Karen chose me," like Nicola is giving he wants to be chosen out here in these streets, and I don't know if I like that kind of energy coming from a guy, because I'm in my mind, I'm like, I want the guy to also want to choose me. So I don't know about Nicola. So we shall see. That's the end of episode 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, you should definitely subscribe, like, comment, and talk to you next time.